Hey, this is Kevin with Consumer Reports, and I'm back looking at the ATN X site. And in this part of my review, I'm going to actually look at in detail connecting the ATN X site to a mobile device. And so what I'm showing here is I've got my rifle there, sitting there ready to go. I've actually got the USB power supply hooked to it. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the review. And I've got some notes there, and then I've got my Samsung Galaxy S5 will be the Android operating system mobile device that I hook it to. Just to be clear, the firmware version on the X site that I'm using for this part of my review is firmware version 1.8.07.343. Also the version of the ATN Obsidian app on my Android is version 1.30, and these were the versions that were released and available about the 1st of October 2015. Alright, I'm going to read a few things out real quick, some notes that I've got here, and then I'm going to kind of jump into more of a free-form part of the review, so just bear with me. One of the unique features about the ATN X site day-night rifle scope is the ability to wirelessly connect a mobile device utilizing the Wi-Fi interface. With a mobile device connected, you can change some of the settings on your X site, view live streaming images of what is being displayed in the X site, and a new feature is the ability to see photos and videos stored on the memory card inside your X site. And that's a capability that's active right now for the Android operating system. It is not active with the Apple iOS system. To do this, you'll first need to download and install an ATN Obsidian app on your mobile device. Once the app is installed, all you need to do is turn on the Wi-Fi feature in the X site, which looks like any other Wi-Fi connection on your mobile device. And you ought to go take a look at the instruction manual on that as far as knowing what the actual Wi-Fi connection name is, which by default it's actually ATN Obsidian, and the password also, which is by default ATN Obsidian. With your device connected wirelessly to the X site, you then start the ATN Obsidian app on your mobile device, and really it's pretty simple to do, and I'm going to do that real quick. Now I just got through turning on the Wi-Fi in the ATN X site up there, and now I'm going to start the Obsidian app right here. And you can see that's the icon for the ATN Obsidian app right there. I'll start it. Now, you know, I haven't turned it on. This is I've already done this several times, but this is coming to it for the first time, and so that's the main screen that you're going to see when you go into the Android version of the ATN Obsidian app. Now, just to kind of walk you through, you got three different main functions. You've got the gallery function right here, which is used for showing your videos and your photos that are actually on the micro SD card on the X site. You've got your viewfinder mode here, which is used for looking, you know, with your mobile device at what's actually being displayed in the viewfinder. And then you've got your settings that are used for changing some basic parameters for your X site. There's in the upper left corner, there's a little menu, drop down menu I say that you can get to right there to be able to switch between those. And also over on this side, there's another, these four circles together is another menu that'll come up, and the home screen is this back screen that you're looking at here. You can either reboot the device or turn the device off, and then, you know, there's just about support. Now, if you open up this app and you see that the gallery is highlighted right here, but you see that the viewfinder and the settings icons are under intensified, it's because you don't have your Wi-Fi properly connected to your mobile device. And you know, again, you know, go take a look at the instruction manual for doing that. It's really no different from connecting any, you know, to any wireless network that you would with your phone. Now, look real quick here at the gallery option when you go to gallery. Now, what it's going to do is it's going to show you, all of your videos and your photos that are stored on your memory card. Now, it can also show you if you've already downloaded some of these photos or videos to your mobile device. If you switch over here by going from Excite to, in this case, Android, you can see that I've already downloaded one photo and one video to my mobile device. Now I'm going to go back to what's on the Excite here. Now you can go through and say if I wanted to delete one of these pictures, for example, I can go through and I can pause my finger on top of it and hit the check box, and then I can delete that. We'll go ahead and delete that one right there. So I deleted it from the micro SD card on the inside the Excite. I could also say, hey, I want to say for this one right here, I want to download, and that's what this icon right up here is for. I want to download that picture right there to my my mobile device. So when I go back over to mobile device, what you're going to see is there's another photo that's now sitting there on my mobile device. I'm going to go back to the Excite, and then there's ways, features over here to like hit select all to select them all, or hit that check mark to unselect them all. You also have an option of viewing just you can select to view by turning that icon off. You can view photos only, you can view videos only, or with both of those highlighted you can view both. Now when you view a photo, and I'll just bring up this one right here, you can see it brings up that image, and that's actually something I had set up last night. I was just looking outside the window in my office upstairs, and that's just the photo that I took on the Excite. I'm going to hit the back right here, which would be the back on any on whatever your mobile device is, and then we'll go, hey, I'm going to hit this video right here, and we'll just show a video real quick. Up.
Test 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Test 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10.
All right, so you can see all that plays good. We'll back out of that. Now back on this screen here, I think I've covered everything there. What I want to show here is that a couple of things. Number one is that like in this case right here, this icon right here is very bright, and these two right here are under intensified. And you can also see at the top where it says connect to your device is that the Wi-Fi is not connected. Next, when I go and I look at the gallery mode, okay, as far as this first bar right here, it says unknown because it doesn't, it can't find the Excite because the Wi-Fi is not connected. When I go over and select over there to the Android feature, I can see my photos and my video that I've got on the phone. Now, I wasn't able to find where these photos and videos actually resided on my Samsung phone here. My first thought is, cool, I've already got them on my phone. I'll just go and maybe send a couple of them to my buddies or something like that. But I couldn't find where to go in and what folder these were in. And I actually hooked the phone to my computer and started searching that way to see if I could find the folder where they were located. I wasn't able to find it. If you happen to know, please, leave a comment and kind of point us all in the right direction of where you can actually find those photos or videos on your mobile device. So what I want to go to next is I'm just going to go into the viewfinder screen. Alright, now the reason that the viewfinder screen looks a little bit hokey is because I've got it pointed at the TV over here to my right. The Excite's pointed over there to my TV right there, so it's just giving me some changing background. Just bear with it. It's just something to show that something's changing, to prove that it's actually working. If I were outside and I had something moving around out there, it would probably work out a lot better, but I don't. So for this screen, basically there's very little you can do here. You can see that the reticle is displayed on the screen here, and you can see that the image is updating as it changes. Now as I zoom in and out, I'll do that real quick. Alright, and it's really hard to tell, but you can see how the reticle shifted to the center right here. You can barely see it in there. That's because it recentered as I zoomed in, and it's going to move back out as it moves back into its 0 position as I move out. And so there it is, it's back in its 0 position. Alright, so for this screen right here, again, there's very little that you can do with this screen other than view. But it does show the reticle, and it does show the image. Next, I'm going to move to the settings screen, and I'm going to use this feature over here, and then I'm going to turn on the settings. All right, so now you have several different things that you can change, and I'll just kind of scroll through the bottom. You can see that all the settings, a lot of the settings are there. Then you just scroll up or scroll down. Now I'll go ahead and talk through a couple of them. So in the display portion of it, you can basically turn the location of where, for example, the compass is located, none, top, or bottom. And what they're referring to there, we'll just go and select top, is that in the display screen there's actually a status bar at the top and a status bar at the bottom, and it's talking about, do you want it to display on the top status bar or the bottom status bar. You can also change the location of the clock. There are some other things like altitude and velocity that you cannot change on this display right now. I would imagine in the future they'll probably go ahead and add those in. And for the day-night mode, you can switch between day or night. You can switch, and right now it's in day mode. If I switch it to night mode, you won't really be able to see anything, but because I'm not looking at the view screen. But I'm in night mode, so it should be showing things very bright through there if I were in the viewfinder mode. So we'll switch back to the day mode. You can switch between the green color for the night vision or the white color. You can switch to the different light amplification modes, low, medium, or high, and you can also switch to the brightness intensity of the screen, and it goes 1 through 5. Keep going down. For the reticle, you can turn the reticle on or off. You can select the reticle types just by bringing up that screen and say, right now I've got this particular reticle selected. If I wanted to select perhaps this green solid one right here, I just select that, hit this button here to go back, and it's already selected. In the 0 setup mode right there, it's going to bring up, and you can see the screens in the background of the TV that's displaying. And in this particular screen right here, it looks like it's pretty usable. There is one thing that I want to point out, and that's that there is no 0 point like in your one-shot 0 feature that's part of the X-Site. That dot is not at that particular location anymore. Now I can move these arrows to move the reticle left and right, and I can use these arrows to move the reticle up or down. If I push reset, it's going to probably bring the reticle back to the 0 point right here. So one of the things I want to point out is that after you zero your X-Site, always write down what your X and Y offsets are. Like in this case right here, my 0, X, and Y offsets are X is minus 170 and Y is minus 120. What I went through, and figured out in one of my previous parts of the review was that 1 count equals about 1/8 of an inch, or 1/8 of an MOA, or 1/8 of an inch at 100 yards. So your ability, knowing that value right there, 1/8 of an inch at 100 yards, you can actually go through and change these settings to correct for a 0 if you wanted to do it with this particular screen here. Most likely I would do it, or most likely you'll do it with your looking through the X-Site itself, the zeroing feature here, but they do give you that option right there. I'm going to hit done on that. We're going to go to shooting solution. Now for shooting solution, this is an experimental. You can see this feature is experimental. It's listed right there. And what they're trying to do is give you a different position to hold to account for a target being at a varying distance other than your zero distance. Now, the only inputs that you have in this right now are muzzle velocity, target distance, and wind speed and wind direction. But to me, these aren't enough input variables to really calculate what your true ballistic drop's going to be. For example, they don't have in here your ballistic coefficient of the bullet you're shooting, or your height of, your scope height above the barrel bore, or your zero range of where you actually zeroed it. So I think this feature right here shows a lot of promise on what ATN can do with the X-Sight in the future, but it doesn't, in my mind, really provide the robustness that you might want for bullet drop compensation. Just my opinion. Alright, so I'm going to hit the back button here. Keep scrolling down. I'm just talking fast to try to keep this thing from being so long. In the capture mode, you can actually switch resolutions between 1080 and 720 here. Now, when you switch resolution, this is just a note, what's happening is you're actually zooming in on the sensor itself. So when you switch to the 720 resolution, you're going to notice the image is going to get larger, on your screen as you're looking through it. So that's just the way that they've incorporated that feature. Go ahead and switch back to 1080. You can turn the microphone on or off. The timed photo mode, you can turn it on or off. The number of shots that it's going to take, the number of seconds between each shot, you can select those. Geotagging, you can turn it on or off. Hold on. You can turn the GPS on or off. You cannot turn the Wi-Fi on or off. The Wi-Fi is going to be turned on or off inside the X-Sight up here. When you turn the GPS on, especially with the GPS and the Wi-Fi, you're going to be going through some power. Your power consumption is going to be high. Your batteries that you go through is going to be quite a few. So, I would say use that sparingly. In the setup mode, you can go through and select the digital zoom range as either standard or extended. I'll talk about that, I think, in part 2 of the review. The lens type, I've got the 5 to 18x X-Sight, so I've got a 5x lens. You can go through and say none, 3x or 5x. I've got the 5x. You can set the date and the clock source of manual or Wi-Fi, date format, date, time, units, format your memory card, or restore to factory settings. And that pretty much covers the settings. Now I'm just going to flip back over to viewfinder mode, and you can see the whole time the Wi-Fi has been running, the whole time that this review has been going on so far, and it's still displaying in the background. Again, I apologize. The TV is so close and it's not in focus, and the interlacing of the TV and video and blah blah, and it's like, so it's not perfect, but I think you'll get the point of what I'm trying to say. Now I'm going to go back to my notes because after I did my evaluation, and it took several days, several different nights of looking at the X-Sight itself and looking at what's coming out on my phone there. Also, I looked at and evaluated with an iPad, and I made some notes here after going through all the evaluation, and I'm just going to go through some of the notes here, and so just bear with the video. But when you're trying to turn the Wi-Fi on or off, there's a delay of about 4 seconds to switch from on to off, and 8 seconds to switch from off to on. If you happen to press the button again before it switches, then you'll potentially toggle the mode again. All right, what I'm talking about right there is that, inside the X-Sight, when you go to the screen to where it says Wi-Fi and you scroll down to turn the Wi-Fi on or off, when you press, one of these buttons here, either this one or this one right here, when you press that button, there's going to be a delay before it's going to turn on or off. And it took a while for me to figure that out after I first got the X-Sight, and I would get frustrated because I'd push it and it's like, well, did I push it or not? So I'd push it again, and then next thing you know, I'm toggling it on and off once the delays occurred. So a thing to remember is that when you're turning it off, it takes about 4 seconds from the button push to turn off, and when you're turning it on, it takes about 8 seconds from the button push to turn on. So when you push the button, start counting the seconds. After 8 seconds, if it doesn't turn on, then push it again. The next thing here is with the Wi-Fi off, you can run on USB power. With the Wi-Fi on, it will not reliably run on USB power based on my experience. If you're planning to run the device and stream video to a friend using a Wi-Fi, plan on using some lithium AA batteries for maximum reliability. Okay, what I'm really saying there is that, I've used this portable USB charger extensively with this thing so far. But when I sat down and started using it with the Wi-Fi connection, what I realized is that the power draw from the Wi-Fi ends up being so great that it overcomes what the USB charging device can actually provide. So even though it's plugged in right now, the power is really it's really coming off these batteries right here. Now, just for kicks, to make my point, I'm going to go through, and you can see that right now the Wi-Fi is running. You can see that. If I go through and take the battery cap off to break the battery connection right there. All right, now you can see at this point it's still running, but at some point, just randomly, there's going to be a situation to where there's not going to be enough juice, and the unit's going to shut down. Okay, that's why I say that it's not reliable with running on the USB power when you're broadcasting the Wi-Fi. I just wanted to show this real quick, is that when you lose your Wi-Fi connection to your X site, what you're going to see here is that basically the screen froze, and you can see at the top up there it says connect to your device. Alright, the next thing, if your battery dies with the Wi-Fi turned on, when you turn your X site back on, you may have to go back into the settings and turn the Wi-Fi off, and then back on again to actually make the Wi-Fi signal broadcast. Alright, what I'm trying to say there is that sometimes, like if your batteries just die on you and it shuts down, and when you bring it back up, you may have to go through a sequence of, you're thinking, the indicator might be saying that the Wi-Fi is on, but it's really not. So you have to actually turn it off and then turn it back on again, and then it'll reset. Okay, I went ahead and turned the Wi-Fi off on the X site again after I rebooted it, and then turned it on again. And it was just like I described before. It was in the on state, but the Wi-Fi wasn't actually working, so I had to turn it off and then back on again for the Wi-Fi to actually start up again after it shut down, from that low power situation. So I've got it all back connected again, and I'm going to keep going down the list here. All right, when you're connected via the Wi-Fi to your phone, and when you're streaming video to your mobile device using the viewfinder feature in the app, you cannot take photos or video using your X site. Although if you switch to settings in the app, you can take photos and video with your X site. All right, so what I'm saying there is that while you're displaying this, if your buddy's sitting there and you're sitting there hunting and he's sitting there watching on whatever his mobile device is, and you're like, oh, I want to get some video, and you reach up here and you press the button up here to get video or to try to get a picture, you're not going to get it, because what's happening is that the X site thinks it's in recording mode whenever it's sending information to the display in the viewfinder. But if you go through and you say, hey, let me go to settings and get in this mode right here, the X site doesn't think it's recording anymore, meaning sending information to your mobile device. You can now go through and take the photos and the video off of your X site. You could have also gone through and switched to gallery, and it would have done the same thing. We'll go ahead and go back to the viewfinder mode. Another thing I found is that you cannot turn the Wi-Fi off on the X site while your mobile device is in the viewfinder mode. While in the viewfinder mode, the X site considers itself to be in a recording state. So again, if you want to save battery life and turn your Wi-Fi off on the X site, you're going to have to tell your buddy or whoever to get out of the viewfinder mode on their mobile device. Another thing I found is that sometimes the reticle would shift into the upper left corner when displaying on a mobile device. It would always stay in the correct position on the X site, and I think there were some instability issues that I might have been having on my mobile device here, and I'm not sure if it's related to the Obsidian app or the mobile device itself. I think I'm going to talk a little bit more on that a little bit later. And what I've got here, this is actually one of my long notes right here, but I'll try to condense it a little bit. What I found is that, as I was having issues, if you're having an issue with your X site and you're having an issue with the Wi-Fi connection, or the screen is not displaying properly in the viewfinder mode, then what I found is you've got to go through a certain sequence of steps to basically reset everything back to what it was originally. Okay, and this set of steps is what I found right here, is that if you go through and close the app on the mobile device, and if you turn off Wi-Fi on the X site, then turn off the X site, then turn on the X site, then turn on the Wi-Fi on the X site, then reconnect your mobile device to the X site and restart the app. If I was having any problems with instability or anything like that, if I would go through and do those particular steps, that would reset everything and it would start back working again. Now, so far, I don't know how long this video has been so far, but what you can see here, the screen's displaying. I've been able to go through and be able to show a display screen like this, or I haven't had any issues, is what I'm trying to say. The only issue I had was when I removed the battery cap, and I knew that was going to happen, and at some point, there wasn't going to be enough juice, and I was going to lose connection here to the mobile device. I expected that. I knew it was going to happen. It did it. So once I reset it by going through these basic instructions right there, when I reset it, now everything worked back good again. Another point is that if you're say, for example, you're in the settings mode, and you're doing something, whatever it is. If you have your sleep mode or lock mode or whatever that is on your mobile device set to a very short amount of time, what you're going to find is if you're not constantly interfacing with this screen right here, then it's going to go into that sleep mode. So you may have to unlock your mobile device and get back into the screen. So you may want to change the settings on your sleep mode or lock time on your mobile device. All right, this is going to be a hard one to demonstrate with the setup that I've got here, because there's really no clarity in the screen here with what you see on the TV. But what I want to point out is there is a little bit of delay. I don't know if you can see it, from the time that I move the gun until I actually have a change in the screen on your mobile device. So there's going to be a little bit of delay from the time that you might see an animal or pull the trigger until you see that on your mobile device. Another point about the mobile device is that I got better streaming video. If I went in and I turned off the Bluetooth, like in any mobile device, and I'll just try to swipe it down right now. You can see you've got all this stuff running. When I went through and turned off location and I turned off Bluetooth, it's on right now. But when I turned it off, I'll go ahead and turn it off, I seem to get slightly better performance on the video streaming. Now, the thing to keep in mind is that this is a computer. Your mobile device is a computer, and you're going to be sending information, video from your X site to your computer, and so your computer has a CPU and memory and all that. And if you're maxing out your CPU and your memory on your computer here with all these miscellaneous apps and programs and stuff, then you're going to degrade the performance of your mobile device. So be aware that you want to keep your mobile device efficient when you're streaming video to it, and I think you're probably going to have some better results. Now, another point I want to bring up here real quick is that basically your X site up here is working like we'll just call it a wireless router. All right, So it's sending out a wireless signal, and you can see the strength of that wireless signal by your little icon that's at the top of your mobile device. So like in this case right here, I see like I've got full strength, which I should have full strength because I'm only about a foot away from the transmitter, the wireless transmitter on top of the X-Site. Now, what I'm getting at is that the wireless capability of the X-Site is for the unit I've got is extremely good. I was actually able to just set the X-Site in my kitchen on the counter and have it look at the TV in the other room, so it continually be updating. And I went and was able to walk around outside about 50 yards away. And this was actually through a couple of walls, and I was able to see 50 yards away before I started having a degrading image on in the viewfinder mode. When I set up the X-Site to where there was really no obstruction between me and the X-Site, I was able to go out about 100 yards before I started noticing that the bars were getting so low that I could start seeing some degraded screen resolution or image or whatever it is due to the video not streaming as well. All right, that's 100 yards away, and so I got 2 points here. Number one is that the wireless capability of the X-Site is very good as far as how far the distance that you can actually pick it up. All right, the bad is that the signal strength is so strong on the X-Site whenever it's broadcasting that you're potentially using a lot more energy to broadcast than's needed for the range that you're probably going to be using a mobile device with this particular unit. You know, if they had some way to go through and change the power that it's broadcasting from, say, maximum to like maybe a high or a low, or a high, mid, and a low, then potentially you could get more battery life out of your X-Site. All right, another thing I found during my review here is that you cannot use two mobile devices at the same time, or I wasn't successful in doing that. And it kind of makes sense because you can change settings with your device right here, and so if you tried to pair two of them up to your X-Site, it might be difficult for it to understand which one is the master. So I was not successful in being able to connect an iPad and my Samsung Galaxy S5 to this X-Site at one time. I couldn't make it work. Now I'm not showing the iPad right now, but one of the things that I noticed is that sometimes I had to switch between the viewfinder and the settings modes here, and I'll give you an example. I had to switch between viewfinder and settings like that, and then switch back on my my iPad to be able to reset the video streaming. And typically, like if my iPad went to sleep due to lack of screen input, then I might have to go in and do that reset for it to go through and properly start streaming video again. The video streaming feature, and it's like, it's very subjective of what I'm going to say here, but the video streaming feature seemed to be a little bit more stable using the Apple iOS system than it did with the Android system. Now, that could be a function of everything I have running on my phone versus everything that was running on the iPad. I don't really, it's not like I have hard evidence. That was just my impression that it seemed to be a little bit better. Now, the last note I've got here is that the reticle did not display on the iPad. So, on the Apple device, you would see the viewfinder screen, but you would not see the reticle, even though the reticle would be set up to be shown inside your X-Site. All right, some of my final thoughts on doing this part of the review and using the mobile device with the ATN X-Site is it can be a little bit frustrating up front. When you don't know what the limitations are and you don't know that there are delays between pressing a button and turning things on and off, and when you don't know that there's a specific restart sequence that you need to go to for maximum connection reliability, then it can be frustrated because most likely you're going to be doing those things and it's not going to be successful and you're going to get frustrated. Once you learn those and go through that sequence, what you're going to find is it actually gets more pleasurable. Once you know what to do and it reliably do what you want, you know, in front of your buddies and stuff like that, then you're going to be happier with the Excite and the overall performance. Do I think that ATN has some more work to do with the Excite as far as firmware updates and updates to the apps? Sure, yeah, I definitely think they've got more work to do. Am I willing to live with them to do more work? Most definitely. Honestly, I feel the Excite's a great value product. It puts, you know, real night hunting capabilities into the hands of far more people with its good resolution and value price than I think probably anything out there. The Wi-Fi feature itself, I think is one of those that's a nice to have feature. It's not a gotta have feature. At least it's not for me. You know, I like it, but I can go out and do whatever I want to do without it. And most likely, if I'm in a hunting situation, unless I'm sitting there with somebody right beside me, and you know, I doubt I will be using it. I also feel that that there's probably some more development that ATN needs to do with battery consumption with the Excite. Specifically, they need to look into the Wi-Fi mode and see if they can dial back some of that power and some of that range to give people a little bit more battery life when they're using that Wi-Fi mode. I think that, you know, less range and longer life would end up with a more pleased customer with this feature or this option. Well, that's the end of the review. I apologize for it being so long and for me trying to talk so fast, but I really had a lot of information to cover. You can see all of this in a text format with pictures of the different screens if you go to consumerreports.com and you look at my Excite review, and I think this is part 8 of that particular review. You'll see this video will be posted there along with all most of the commentary and some other screen grabs and stuff like that of showing the different menus on the Android system. If you like this video, please like or subscribe or both, and I'll try to keep bringing more in-depth reviews. Thanks.